Dear friend of trash, seeker of the spice, and comfort watcher who enjoys a good occasional evening of mediocrity. Let me tell you that Summer Anime 2024 has been not as strong as spring season and definitely wasn't quite as stacked, but it had one particular genre that made sure that these past few months of anime were still worth putting our hard-earned time into. For the most part. I'm talking about the sisters, the gremlins, the feet, the Russians, the relatability, and whatever the hell that is. I'm talking about romance. So let's just rank them and see which of these shows were actually worth watching. What happens when two depressed high school students suddenly become step-siblings? Well, let's talk about it. Days with My Stepsister did actually surprise me, because it was absolutely not what I was expecting when I first heard about it. By the title alone, I was prepared getting hit with a generic, it's actually not incest romance story, with your standard tsundere main girl and the same old I'm 14 years old and achieved horniness jokes as usual. But man, have I been wrong. The premise is still kinda simple. Two teenagers with their own problems learning to live with each other and growing closer in an unexpectedly non-standard romance anime kinda way. I knew something was up when this scene here happened and the girl was completely chill about it. Wait, no blushing, no nose periods, and no sudden outburst of domestic violence in my it's actually not incest romance anime? No way. Yes way. Those two, given their situation, are behaving pretty realistically normal around each other. And the tranquil, almost sad vibe this show gives off, due to its pacing, direction, and how the characters interact, feels really refreshing. One small gripe I had at first was that the sometimes comedically slow movements and long moments of silence were a little off-putting. But those moments somehow really started growing on me after just a few episodes. Peak cinema. But seriously, it is nice seeing an anime like this one taking a different route. And although I love my tropey characters, I enjoyed watching something that's taking a more grounded approach. And I really hope we'll be seeing more shows like this in the future. Also, work Senpai is precious. A tier. Let's step it up from days with the stepsister to days with the real sister, plus a hot girl from Russia who happens to be the name-giving character for this show. Alya sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, only that Alya's not hiding shit, because main character over here understands everything she says. Or so you'd think, but this dance bitch, even though he understands, doesn't seem to understand anything at all. Pretty much telling him that she likes him, hanging out with him every day, and shoving her foot directly into his face is apparently not enough to break through this guy's shell. But you know what? It's fine, because the real star of the show is this freaking gremlin right here. Yuki, the main character's little sister, probably found out that Alya's from Russia and quickly decided herself that communism actually wasn't that bad of an idea. Sharing is caring, I guess. And what makes all of that even better is that no one at their school knows that those two are actual siblings, which I guess wouldn't really matter that much anyway. And listen, I'm not saying that the special family bond is carrying the show, because Alya is also a top tier contender for best girl of the season. But it's hard not acknowledging Yuki's kind of commitment and energy. This girl switches from endboss to simp in literal seconds, and on top of that, she's based. A tier. Finding happiness in expressing yourself and be who you want to be, or holding back in order to better fit into society, to please the people who make you feel not accepted. This is the topic that Senpai Is An Otokonoko tries to tackle, and on a surface level, I think it does a well enough job in showing the watcher what kind of struggles are a daily occurrence. But I also have to say that I'm not very knowledgeable about how cross-dressers are treated in Japan outside of what is seen in media sometimes. But given that it is a minority, I just assume that there might be a lot of struggle involved. Now, the actual romance aspect of this show is also quite interesting. On one hand, you have Saki here, who fell in love with her senpai not knowing that he's a boy, and after finding out, she seems even more fired up to make him fall for her. Still gets rejected though, and after a while starts questioning herself if she really is in love with him or not. And on the other hand, there's Ryuji, who has an even bigger crush on his cross-dressing best friend, but isn't quite ready to accept the gay. Yet. Well, it's a nice watch, and I do recommend it if any of these plot points sound good to you. But there's a lot of stuff missing that I wish wasn't, so B tier. Love is Indivisible by twins. As a lover of dumpster fire love triangles and with a chance of potential twin sister gaslighting, I went into this show with quite high expectations and got completely disappointed. Even though there is some competition between the sisters and an early breakup, this show has actually less spice than North American Kitchen. And the only redeeming quality is little references from other Japanese media getting mixed in whenever the long-haired twin and the main character indulge in their nerdy dialogues. There are a few scenes where some potentially entertaining drama could start happening, but then it doesn't. I feel bad for the guy though, because he actually just wanted to chill after the first twin broke up with him, but he isn't allowed to. Overall, although I didn't completely hate it, this anime hasn't quite hit the mark for me. Maybe my own expectations were just a little too high. Oh, and by the way, she smells like fish and wants him to take a sniff. This out of context is probably the best you will get out of it. C tier. But why even try your luck with 2 anime girls when you can have 10 in one? Pseudo Harem was our wholesome slice of life cleansing romance this season, and I still think this anime only exists for Saori Hayami to show off her voice acting skills. Tsundere, scared, happy, cocky. He names it and gets it. Lucky bastard. Anyway, following those two through their days at the acting club and watching them spending time together, for me was the perfect kind of entertainment when I just needed something lighthearted to end the day. And on top of that, I got some straight up god tier voice acting fan service, and funnily enough, faster love progression than in all the other shows so far. So, well deserved, A tier. Guys, I think we found him. A man more miserable than Kazu from Rent a Girlfriend. I can see being lonely and starting to feel down bad for your multi-cooker, but this bro here is beyond saving. It even goes so far that he confesses to her and gets hit with an "Aight, see ya." Honestly, I have not been able to shake off the uncanny feeling while watching this show. I mean, imagine waking up in the morning and the first thing you see are these dead looking eyes. Aside from that, my wife has no emotions just isn't that good, and also not that funny. So, D tier. Now let's talk about a topic I think more than enough of you are quite knowledgeable about. Rejection. Everyone here gets to suffer a direct hit into the heart. The gluttonous gremlin? Rejected. Goblin with low self-esteem? Rejected. Nudist Genki girl? Rejected. Even the local tap water addict who hasn't confessed at all gets turned down. And what all those rejections set up is actually really fucking good. Too Many Losing Heroines is hands down one of the best, not only romance, but shows in general this season. All of these characters are interesting and lovable despite their obvious tropes. And the show hits every spot with its sad, cheerful and funny moments. Sometimes even switches from one to the other in quick succession. And to top things off, has absolutely great voice acting with some scenes where you're just sitting there and say to yourself, damn, I felt that. I'm invested and will probably start reading the source material now. So, I guess the anime did everything right in that regard. Straight up S tier. If you'd have to choose between becoming A magical girl doing work for a shady guy in a cat costume, or B, a prostitute, what would your choice be? Well, as for the main character, if you have not seen it, the title of this anime will give you a hint. The magical girl and the evil lieutenant used to be arch enemies. Sorry, but no gooning here. Although, maybe a little. An easily getting flustered supposed enemy and a cooler magical girl have cute and silly moments together. In short, he's bad at his job and she's too naive to exist on her own. Nothing groundbreaking, but still enjoyable. Also a quick watch because it's a short form anime. Otherwise, I'd probably rank it lower, but all in all, B tier. My first thought when I started watching ATRI was, this looks gorgeous, almost as vibrant as some visual novels I played. And turns out this is indeed a visual novel, not 18 plus though. Again, no gooning. The world is in a post-apocalyptic state ever since rising sea levels destroyed the livelihood of many, resulting in most small towns and villages being mostly abandoned. Climate change is real, guys. The plot starts off with bro here being short on money, so he decides that going on a dive with his rusty submarine to search for a treasure that's supposed to be down in some sunken city sounds like a decent enough idea. Spoiler, it wasn't. But he gets his ass saved by a lolly robot. After that, the anime takes its time with the romance part as well as any major plot points and suddenly started teaching me how tidal power generation works. Now this whole part reminded me of a visual novel I once played called If My Heart Had Wings, which focuses on explaining a lot of stuff about glider flying and some weather phenomenon called morning glory. Huh, how fitting now that I think about it. Anyway, this stuff back then was actually quite interesting, and look here, both visual novels were actually written by the same person. But as much as I like learning new things from my anime, I have not yet finished ATRI by the time this video releases. It is good, but also slow burn, which I don't mind. Still, I can't decide whether to put it in B or A tier, so for now, I put it somewhere in between. Morning Glory tier. The second season of the Café, Terrace and its goddesses is a little better than the first season, because the groundwork has already been laid and we start off strong right from the get-go, by talking 3 minutes about the main character's dick. No, really. Other than that, it is pretty much the same as before, but with a little more progress and fanservice. Kinda enjoy the show, but I cannot bring myself to put it higher than B tier, so that is where it's going. And now with the next one, picture the biggest simp you can imagine. Add a cute cosplaying kohai and throw the random ass childhood friend into the mix. Ready is your wishful thinking self-insert romance. I'm not sure which of them is the bigger otaku, but as for Miss Childhood Friend, you can already forget about her, because even in the episodes she's present, she's irrelevant. And I'm not saying this out of bias, she is literally just decoration and has almost more screen time in the ending theme than in the actual show. As for the cosplaying theme, it is not comparable to something like My Dress Up Darling, and the characters aren't nearly as engaging, but I have seen worse this season. I think the perfect way of describing the show in one word is mid, but not quite as boring and disappointing as the Twin Sister anime, so B tier. I know it's technically not a new show, but a continuation from last season, but I will never miss out on an opportunity to hold a monologue about why the Spice and Wolf remake is peak romance. It's well paced, hits the medieval vibe, teaches you about economics, even though I normally have to reread these explanations 3 to 4 times because I got the dumb, and has one of the best female characters in anime, Hollow. And you should know that every waifu tier list that exists online that does not have her included in at least the top 3 is objectively trash. I don't make the rules. Even today, this anime's romantic development stands out to me because of how naturally it flows with the overarching adventure, and I truly wish there was more romance anime like that. But it is what it is. And with now having watched both the old and new Spice and Wolf, I'm torn between which one I like better, because they're equally as good in my opinion. But for everyone that hasn't seen the 2008 anime, I would just recommend starting with the new one, because not only are there more segments that were in the light novel, but also the chances of getting more of the story animated are higher than before. Also, buy that merch, because I'm broke and I want that second season. Thank you. S+. And that's it for summer season's romance anime. I know that there are other shows, mainly 2, that weren't included in this tier list, which are Kimi ni Todoke Season 3 and the gay one that nuked the Crunchyroll comment section, but I have a reason why I didn't talk about them. It's because I haven't watched them yet. If you have, feel free to let me know in the comment section if they're any good, and write your favorite romance show of the season down there as well. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, blah blah bell because it helps, you know how it goes, and have yourself a wonderful day. As always, I hope to see you in the next video, and until then, peace.